There are more reasons than one why the death penalty should be abolished. The death penalty is an inhuman and horrible thing to do to someone. It just isn't all about the person being killed or someone being raped. It's about how much the death penalty costs and how unfair it really is. The death penalty is often used in a disproportional manner against the poor, minorities, and members of racial, ethnic, political, and religious groups. In the world today, over 2/3 of the countries have abolished the death penalty in law or practice. In 2010, the majority of the known executions took place in 5 countries, which were Iran, China, Yemen, North Korea, and the United States. In 2008, the FBI shows that 14 states without capital punishment, which is the death penalty, has a homicide rate at or below the national rate. The other thing is that the death penalty costs more and it takes away from the resources and money that we need for more genuine crime controls, such as guns and other things of that nature. The things that cost the most that are associated with the death penalty can occur before or during the trial. The death penalty is more expensive in alternating sentences. It's more expensive than alternating sentences. The death penalty is also unfair because most of the people that go on death row do not have money to pay for their own attorney at trial. For example, Columbia University found that 68% of all death penalty cases were reversed on appeal, which is an inadequate defense as one of the main reasons requiring reversal. The death penalty violates the right to life, what happens to be the most basic of all human rights. It also violates the right not to be subjected to torture and other cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment. Furthermore, the death penalty undermines human dignity, which is inherent to every human being. Example: Reggie Clemens was convinced as an accomplice in the murder of 2 white women in St. Louis. 4 federal judges have agreed that the prosecutor's conduct was abusive and boorish. And Clemens alleges police brutally during his questioning. Witnesses assist to Clemens' face being swollen after the interrogation. Another example is, according to Oregon, in 1995, the trials for 3 Washington County murders cost more than $1.5 million. 1 was sentenced to death. The other 2 were found guilty of 4 murders, and they are not on death row. In 2000, a fiscal impact summary from the Oregon Department of Administrative Services stated that the Oregon Judicial Department alone would save $2.3 million annually if the death penalty was eliminated. It is estimated that total prosecution and defense costs to the state and counties equal $9 million per year. Families of murder victims undergo severe trauma and loss, which no one should minimize. However, executions do not help these people heal, nor do they end their pain. The extended process prior to executions prolongs the agony of the family. Families of murder victims would benefit far more if the funds now being used for the costly process of executions were diverted to counseling and other assistance. The death penalty is a lethal lottery. Of the 15,000 to 17,000 homicides committed every year in the United States, approximately 120 people are sentenced to death, less than 1%. Although isolated passages of the Bible have been quoted in support of the death penalty, almost all religious groups in the United States regard executions as immoral, such as Christianity. It is an easy way out for criminals. It would rather be good for them to suffer in jail for the rest of their life without parole. Usually murderers do not fear death, so this type of punishment is not deterrent. Not only that, but the injection method is one of the most painful ways, which it collapses your lungs. Plus, the lethal chemicals that are in the injections become more and more rare. thus making it more expensive with each injection. In fact, it is cheaper to keep an inmate in prison for life without parole than it is to kill them. It doesn't make sense to spend more money on a morally questionable act that is shown of no signs of deterrent. The death penalty is inhuman and morally wrong. The death penalty goes against all things that I believe in, which I am a Christian and I do not believe in taking someone's life. The death penalty is so expensive and is unfair. The United States should abolish the death penalty because it would be better and we wouldn't have to spend much money on it, such as the states would not have to spend much more money on it. Thank you for viewing my speech, and if you didn't agree that the death penalty should be abolished, I hope I gave you some reasons to consider why it should. The death penalty is something I do not agree with and something I will never understand.